Hello everyone, this is Nele speaking for the Girl with the Curly Hair project, and today I want to address an issue most parents with autism children have faced, being clothing and the difficulty of getting your child to try something new or something fancy when you go out to dinner or to a restaurant or to a wedding or whatever party you're going to. Let me first try to explain to you why this is such a difficulty before I go into giving you tips on how to help with that. Trying new clothes is always very difficult for someone with Asperger's syndrome or autism, simply because we have a certain routine and a need for routine and structure, and clothes are very often part of that routine because we can control that facet, we can control that aspect of our lives, we can actually control what we'll be wearing today, what we'll be wearing tomorrow. And that is sort of a safety in a very overwhelming world. So when you have to try on something new and wear something new, that breaks that pattern, that breaks that structure and that routine. So that safety is sort of gone for us, and that can be extremely overwhelming. Secondly, what's also very important is that clothes may just not feel very right to us. And with our heightened senses, this can be very tricky to buy something that we actually like. It's not so much what seems fashionable these days that we'll pick out, but what is more comfortable to us. So your child might not like the latest Elsa dress, or the latest new fashion for kids, but might go for really soft textures such as velvety soft textures, fleece soft textures, and things that feel pleasant to them. Because very often the texture the texture of a fabric can feel very wrong to us. I have bought tank tops that have like a staining on the back, a logo, but it really annoys my skin, it irritates my skin where this one will never ever wear them. They're very fancy looking, they're very fashionable, but I will not wear them merely because it irritates my skin. And the irritation of texture or fabric on your skin that you have to wear an entire day is it's torture. It's basically torture. So those two reasons are the main reasons why your child has issues wearing new clothing. On top of that, new clothing also implies having to go shopping for it. So you have to take your child out to a shopping mall, which by itself is a very overwhelming experience. You have the bright lights, you have people, you have trying on new clothes, the difference of texture rubbing against your skin, the difference of fabrics, the different smells. It's very overwhelming and just not a very pleasant experience for anyone who has Asperger's syndrome or autism. I know a lot of people might regard children who refuse to wear different types of clothing or have actual shutdowns or meltdowns when they're forced to wear different types of clothing as obnoxious, but this is definitely not the case. It's merely a case of trying to find what's best for you, trying to find the fabric that fits you best and feels most comfortable for you and doesn't actually hurt your skin. So it's not about a child being obnoxious, it's more about a child that's actually in pain because the texture or the fabric simply hurts the skin or hurts your senses. So here are a few tips that might actually help to avoid that or help pave the way to convince your child to try something new, but in a kind of loving way. First of all is, if you know you have to go to a wedding and they're asking your child to dress up, put up pictures of what you think is appropriate attire for that occasion. And it doesn't matter if that's 4 months in advance. If you're heading towards Christmas, you can start hanging those up a few weeks in advance, a few months in advance, whatever you think is appropriate to your child. Do make sure when you do this that you don't trigger your child into too much anticipation, because when your child sees, for example, if she has to go to a wedding and she has to be one of the bridesmaids, and you have to dress her up with a bow and a long dress with all kinds of things, and you hang that picture up a few weeks in advance, it could be so that rather than getting used to the picture and getting used to the attire, she might feel overwhelmed to it. She might want to do it now because the anticipation between the moment you're hanging the picture up and the actual event is too long to bear. So you have to keep that in mind, and it does take some knowing your child to understand if it's okay to actually get your child to get used to this attire by hanging the picture up, or knowing that it will take too long between hanging the picture up and the actual event, which I call threshold anxiety. Secondly, introduce one piece of clothing at a time. This way, it will help your child to adjust to the piece of clothing. You can just put it on a clothes hanger and hang it up in the living room. Don't pay too much attention to it. Let your child explore for itself. When they feel ready, they will explore. If you do want to go shopping with your child for fancy dress, make sure to go shopping in the wee hours, as we call it. Just as soon as the shop opens, be there. That way you avoid all of the people. If that's not possible, ask the shopkeepers if it's okay to take out several pieces, pay for them, take them home. Normally the return time is 2 weeks or 3 weeks. See if your child can get comfortable with it, with the way it feels, etc. And if not, you can always return it for something else. You can explain to the shopkeeper what the issue is and see if you can make an arrangement that way. If your child has like a superhero or an idol or anything, hang up pictures of them wearing fancy dress. That way they'll feel more motivated to actually try something like that because they have like an example to do so. And they don't feel pushed into wearing that bridesmaid's dress or that little uniform or whatever it is you need to wear them. Because the environment tells them so. That way they will be motivated to do them by themselves, and they will be motivated by you as well. So they will repeat that action in the future. So in short, to sum up my tips, hang up a picture of what you think is appropriate for fancy dress. If you have a certain event coming up, make sure you don't hang it up too early if your child will be triggered by anticipation. Introduce one new piece of clothing at a time. Let it hang somewhere so they can explore it for themselves. If you take your child out shopping for fancy dress, make sure you do so at the earliest time possible so they can avoid all the people. If not possible, make arrangements with the shopkeeper. You can return the stuff if need be. And if your child has an idol or a superhero, find pictures of them online and hang them up so they can actually see that their superhero or idol does the same thing and be motivated to do or to wear fancy dress as well. Be patient. This is tricky and this might take a very long time. Understand that a simple label in a t-shirt can feel like pins and needles to your child. Be aware that they might need to actually have really soft fabric touching their skins. For me, for example, I only will wear handmade clothing because it's so soft, or fleece. That's all I ever wear. Even in summer, that's what I wear because it's soft on my skin. So be aware of that. And I know this is very difficult, but your child being comfortable and being happy is a lot more important than your child wearing what society wants it to wear. And I know this is very tricky for parents because they get all the looks and they get all the judgments and they get all the back talk from everyone around you, but knowing your child is most important in your life. And them being happy means that they will be happy and motivated to do other things, and they have the energy to do other things. I hope this was helpful, and I wish you all a very good day. Bye.